Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Social Speak Network podcast. I'm your host, Amber Irwin, and I am so excited for our guest today. Miss Kim, please introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about who you are. And I am so excited for this podcast because this is a subject that I am very passionate about, and I know you are as well. So let's share with our audience a little bit about who you are and what they're in store for today.
Very cool. So my name is Kim Eickhoff. I have been a business coach for the last 10 years. I love helping entrepreneurs and small business owners learn how to make money doing what they love. I have a lot of clients that are really passionate about what they do, really good at what they do, but they don't necessarily understand the business side. So that's where I come in to kind of help them with that piece. I also have been a lifelong learner of kind of my own personal development, looking at myself, trying to understand why I do what I do and say what I do, and get better, hopefully, at life in general, relationships, business, whatever it is. And yeah, I've learned a lot of different tools over the years, and so have now sort of moved my business in a direction of where I still help entrepreneurs a lot, but now I'm also just trying to help people more on a personal development side, just become more aware of themselves, what makes them tick, and then how to basically disrupt some of those patterns they get stuck in and make better decisions and create the life they really want versus sort of stuck in a life that they don't necessarily really want. So.
Right. So tell us a little bit about this shift process and why did you create this program?
So I keep seeing over and over and over again with people, as well as watching myself trying to grow my business, that if I am not working on my own personal issues and I'm not aware of them, that's what keeps my business stuck or plateaued at a certain level. And as I was seeing this with my clients, a lot of them hadn't done some personal work and didn't know about different tools and that sort of thing. So it just kind of dawned on me one day. I have systems to teach them around business. So I thought, what if I had a system to teach them around how to become more aware? That was fairly simple to learn, can help them see things in a non-judgmental way so they don't go into a place of like defensiveness or trying to make excuses, but it's more, this is really just my reality. This is what I do. This is what I say. This is how I think and feel. And then something that would then help them move out of that. Some tools I could teach them to help them move out of that. So I just started playing with that idea, came up with the idea of shift, started playing with different words that seemed to fit. And then I'd say for the past 2 years now, it's evolved slowly and changed a little bit over time to what it is now, to where I think it's pretty solid. So I've been using it consistently for probably the past year, the way it is.
And how do you think that this process has helped you in just your life and business and maybe with your clients as well?
Well, we're all human, right? And we all get triggered by different things. And what I know for me is I have always been highly emotional. So growing up, I would overreact to stuff. Somebody would say something, hurt my feelings, or I would get mad about something. I would completely overreact, lash out in a way that was not very helpful usually. And I mean verbally, not physically, but I would, get angry and get mad at somebody, blame somebody else for stuff. And then that never really helped, though. It never really made the situation better. It never really improved or really got me where I wanted to go with whatever that issue was. So for me, what happened was I started practicing this. All the tools I've been using over time in various ways. Over the last couple of years, though, because once I created it, I started practicing it regularly. I sort of made it my practice. When I got triggered about something happened, caused a pretty strong emotional reaction, whether it was frustration or anger or fear, anxiety, whatever that was. And this could be, a cash flow problem in my own business. It could be a cash flow problem with one of my clients because I get worried about them. It could be interactions with people, communication problems, that sort of thing. So not having misunderstandings and getting upset about it, that sort of thing. So I started really using it religiously just to practice it, just to see if it helped. And what I noticed was that the more that I did it, one, I saw really similar themes in how I reacted to certain situations. And so that when it happened the next time, I was much more aware of it. And I realized, I am going into this triggered place. And when I'm triggered or somebody is triggered, we don't usually make the best decisions because our brain goes offline, right? Our emotions flood our brain. And so we can't really make good decisions. So what it does is it helps clear that out so that you can make better decisions. And so I started practicing it regularly, started seeing the themes. And then at the same time, because I was clearing out all these old emotions, the triggers weren't as powerful. I wasn't getting triggered as much in the future. And that was a cool part of it, I thought, because I was like, wow, so now I'm actually releasing a lot of this stuff. And what used to really trigger me doesn't trigger me anymore.
Right. You kind of let it roll off your shoulders at this point. You work through whatever that pattern was.
Yeah. And the emotions, what I've learned is that a lot of these emotions that we have that do kind of come up in these really strong ways, they're old things, right? They're things that happened as kids. Maybe our parents didn't validate how we felt, or we were ignored, or whatever. And not that parents meant to do these things, but they're human too, and they treat us the way that they probably were raised. And so we create issues in other people. And so, yeah, when I started to release a lot of that old stuff, because it wasn't there anymore, the trigger just wasn't as powerful. And it was like, oh, that's really cool. Actually, I'm not upset about this anymore. So
right. So once you work that through, like that, your personal life, how did you see your business grow from letting go of those emotions and not letting those triggers happen anymore?
Well, so actually what started me practicing a lot was my business had grown a lot. So I got to this point in my business where I was making more money than I'd ever made. I had a ton of clients. I was really, really busy. But all of a sudden, all this fear was coming up because it felt like, how in the world can I sustain this? Am I really worthy of this kind of stuff? Is this something that I'm going to be able to keep going with? And how do I get to the next level? So all this fear started coming up. And that's when I started really using Shift to work through the fear. What it taught me too was that, yeah, these were old fears that were happening. But at the same time, my intuition was telling me that there were other things I really wanted to be doing and not necessarily what I was just doing. So I was just focusing on the business coaching, which was fine, but I really felt this desire to move more in this other personal development region as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been sort of pushing that aside because it was like my intuition kept telling me, and I kept kind of shoving it off. And I kept, but I'm making money doing this, so why would I change anything? But all this fear really made me stop and look at that. And when I did, I was like, oh, one, I really want to get more clear about who I work with because I want clients who really want to work on this stuff. So that helped me see that. And then at the same time, just get clear that this is what I really wanted to be teaching as well as the business coaching.
Right. Yeah. Because they go hand in hand.
Right.
And how have some of your clients that have gone through the Shift program, how have their lives and their businesses changed by doing that?
In lots of different ways. So one client that I have, she's a photographer, and she sells fairly large projects that can range from $10,000 to $30,000. So, they're bigger size price tags. She would have a lot of fear come up around doing her proposals because these were big price tags for her. And this was really different shift for her as far as what she was trying to promote and sell. And she just wasn't ready. A lot of times we're not emotionally prepared to do something that we know we're supposed to be doing in our business just because we've never done it before. So we have to practice and get better. So what I taught her Shift, and what happened with this was she would do the process before she actually went into a sales call. And so what would trigger her in the middle of the sales call was bringing up the money part, right? She was able to sort of work through that on the front end and get more comfortable and understand why she was getting triggered. And it was all about her own old money stories, really. That's where she would go with it. And so when she saw that, she learned some tools on how to release that anxiety and those old fears, and then actually just gain more confidence and become more aware that she was worthy of asking for the price that she was asking for. So her business went from, I think the first year we worked together, she sold a couple of projects. So probably 20, 30,000 in revenue around those projects. She did a lot of other things for her business at the time, but she really was moving into this. And this year, to this point, I think we've sold 5 or 6 already. And so she's really turned a corner with how she presents herself, her confidence, and not all that obviously is about Shift, but a lot of it helped. And she would probably be one of the first ones to say that. So And she uses it now when she's in the middle of a meeting and she starts to feel that anxiety pop up or any of those strong emotions. She knows how to sit there and kind of go through it and feel it and release it and then come back to, oh, this is what I'm here to do and this is what I'm confident in. And then you're more authentic and you're more kind of connected. So you're not just faking it. So.
Right. Yeah. And that's such such an important piece, is just being able to notice when you have that coming up in yourself, and not pointing the fingers, but being able to take note and say, okay, this is what frustrated me, or this is what made me sad, or, especially as adults, because, you hurt my feelings, but as you recognize that in yourself, then you can go back and use this practice. So let me ask you this. Is this practice easy to learn? I mean, we're talking about a lot here. We're talking about our emotions. So is this practice easy to learn for everyone?
It is, actually, just because I think of the way it's broken down. I purposefully made it into a system that is easy to follow. Now, what's hard about it is to practice it, right? Like anything. Like, you can get a gym membership, but if you don't actually go to the gym, it doesn't do any good. So it's the same idea. You can have tools, but you have to actually use them. But once I lead somebody through it, they're pretty much on their own from that point. They can always go through it for themselves. The practicing on the back end of the tools that will help you kind of release this stuff and move through it, I find needs a little more hand-holding. And so what I normally do is I sell this in a few different sessions, like a package, because I teach it to them, they practice it, they come back and see what's worked, what hasn't worked, and we talk through the tools that they were using, if they kind of used them correctly, what could they do better, that sort of stuff. Not that there's really a wrong or right way, and then we tweak it. And for me, it's about me finding what tools work best for different people. Because sometimes something might work for somebody that's super easy. Like if you're very aware of your body and how sensations show up in your body, that's an easy tool to use. For other people, that's a really brand new concept. They don't understand that every emotion they have shows up somewhere in their body physically. And that's a big piece of this process. And so there's some teaching and training and practicing that we'll do around that. But yeah, it's easy to learn. It's just not easy to practice necessarily.
That consistency, sticking to it.
Yeah, totally.
And so with this, it's so about your mindset. So, you had said that you were focusing on the business coaching and you were noticing your patterns and changing, getting rid of those emotions. But then there was still that fear, and that your intuition was telling you, like, this isn't what you're supposed to do. So that shows that money can't buy happiness in every single way, but that you may think that you're doing the right thing, but there's still that fear and like listening to your intuition. So is that a big piece of the program? Is obviously you're looking at where, like, those sensations, how is that fear or anxiety or whatever we want to label it as coming up, and then how to deal with it. And that's what they're practicing, is how to notice those emotions.
Yeah, so there's several components to it, but the main components are your feelings. So if something happens that triggers you, whether it's making a lot of money, let's say. So let's say you make more money in a month than you've ever made. You're excited on one end, but then some fear starts to pop up, because it's like, how in the world am I going to repeat this? Is this possible? Is this sustainable? All this stuff. And so when the anxiety or fear pops up with that, the key to start to look at is are the thoughts that are connected to the feeling. So a lot of times if the thoughts are about, I'm not worthy, it's a lot of deep thoughts. So it's like, if I'm not worthy, or if I don't believe I'm worthy, these are old beliefs, to actually make this amount of money and to be successful, then you will end up sabotaging yourself. And that's how people stay in the patterns, right? So they're like, no, I don't believe I'm actually worthy. And this is what I'm going to do to kind of bring myself back down to this amount of money that I feel comfortable at. So it's looking at what those thoughts are, and then it's learning how to challenge those old beliefs and change them. And so the tools around that become, one, if it shows up in the body as a sensation, that's old emotions that are stuck in there. And so you actually have to heal that. And that is about just feeling it. And I don't mean thinking about it. I mean really feeling it. And this is a process that's hard for a lot of people. And so I'll walk them through how to do this, and walk them, like, with an issue that they're having. We'll actually go through the practice of feeling sensations. I call it surrendering to them, because you actually just want to be present with what's really happening in the moment and allow it to come up and out. And then once the emotions will dissipate, and they always do, you just have to pay attention to them. Then those feelings go away, the thoughts go away, and you can actually make some choices on what you want to do. What I find is if the fear is showing up over and over and over consistently, and you keep doing this, that's usually your intuition saying, hey, listen, this is not right. And that's because fears can mean different things, but that's what I've learned is like, oh, this keeps showing up all the time and I keep releasing it, but it keeps showing up. Then it's something deeper trying to tell me something else.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I'm paying attention.
What is the number one takeaway from this process, and why is it so important in your mind?
I think the number one takeaway is that we are completely in control of ourselves. And if something happens that, whether it's somebody or it's a situation, somebody says something or does something, and we get angry or frustrated or fearful, all that stuff is our own stuff. It has really nothing to do with what has happened, with what this person has done, with what the situation is. What we do is we take that and we make it into a much bigger problem because we'll ruminate on it. We think about it. I call it habitual reaction. So we will constantly think about it and constantly cycle through it. And your body will just get more and more stressed or more anxious or whatever it is. But that's the biggest takeaway to me is like, oh, if I can actually understand what issues of mine are being triggered around this, then I'm in complete control of my life because I can actually deal with those and I can change how I respond to somebody or what choices that I make. If I don't know what's happening and I continue to make other choices because I'm making choices to get rid of those feelings, right? I don't want the feelings, they're uncomfortable. But if I don't even know that they're there because of my stuff, then I'm going to keep doing things that are going to keep me in these patterns that aren't super healthy for me. And so becoming aware of that, giving yourself control back, taking full responsibility and ownership of where you are and what your response is to somebody, to me, is huge because then you're in the driver's seat, right? You can make choices and you can do different things. So that's, to me, what the coolest part of this is. So.
Yeah, taking responsibility, owning it, and making a change. I love it. So tell us, how can people work with you? Do you do, obviously, individual? Do you do group? Do you speak at events? Like, how can people sign up for Shift?
Yes, I do all those things. So I love speaking at events. And I do sort of a 30-minute big picture overview of what this is, why it's important, that sort of thing. I don't necessarily teach it, but I give a lot of information about it. I do one-to-one sessions with people, so I can do them through Zoom. I can do them in person if they're here in the Denver area. I'm going to start doing some more kind of group coaching things, but in like corporations, that sort of thing, or small businesses. I use this a lot with teams. So teaching teams how to do this individually helps them communicate better because a lot of times you're interacting with people. So you get triggered by something somebody says on your team. And then all production stops, right? Because you're mad or whatever. They're mad at you. So nobody wants to work anymore. Well, this helps you kind of realize that and work through it. So with teams, and then I'm also working on, I wanted to do like a class, but it would be all video series. So it would be, you get like maybe 3 to 5 videos in your email, and each one will teach you pieces of it. It's much more self-directed. Obviously, you do it when you want. But you'll learn the basic concepts. And with the others, I usually lead you through whatever specific issue you have in those other programs. So it's a little more, hand-holding, that sort of thing in the other ones. But on the videos, like, just learn it and you do it.
Okay. And where can they find this information?
Oh, my website. What is my website?
And you're on Facebook, so they can connect with you on Facebook.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm on Facebook. So Coach Kim Eickhoff, Eickhoff is my last name.
And I'll put the links below in the comments as well.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And then I'll put your website in there too.
Okay. CoachKimShift.com. So that's a good place. And then I have a YouTube channel, Kim Eickhoff. If you just put that in there, it should pop up.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Kim, for being on with us today. Be sure to subscribe below, everyone. And if you are ready to make some serious changes in your life and take control back, call Kim and let's get to work.
Shift.
Thanks, Kim. Have a great day.
Thanks, Amber. You too.